Ellen DeGeneres, ex-employee exposes new scandal. Welcome back to Binge-Worthy Network. From sexual harassment lawsuits to internal investigations, here is what Ellen DeGeneres' ex-employee exposed about the daytime talk show. But before we jump in, hit that like and subscribe button if you want to get all the newest updates about the Hollywood A-lister Ellen DeGeneres. It's no secret that 2020 has been a strange and unpredictable year. And when it comes to Hollywood scandals, there is one celebrity who stands out from the crowd. Ever since the year 2020 began, the iconic daytime talk show hostess Ellen DeGeneres has found herself in multiple controversies and dramas. In February, DeGeneres was exposed for her mean spirit. In March, Ellen was called out for firing her employees during a pandemic. And by the summer of 2020, Ellen's reputation hit an all-time low when former employees exposed the huge scandal. Several former workers opened up about experiencing a toxic work environment at The Ellen Show. From sexual harassment claims to racist remarks and notions, DeGeneres soon found herself facing a massive backlash. And by the end of 2020, the once adored and beloved daytime talk show hostess became the new enemy of Hollywood. Here is what Ellen's ex-employees exposed with the newest scandal. In July of 2020, several anonymous and unnamed employees came forward with a shocking statement. Released by BuzzFeed News, this expose article stunned millions across the globe. The employees started by calling out Ellen DeGeneres for keeping a sexual harasser in her team. In the BuzzFeed article, we see one senior producer by the name of Kevin Lehman getting exposed for his problematic behavior and sexual misconduct. The employees opened up about several incidents where Kevin displayed acts of harassment. According to these former Ellen Show workers, Lehman would go around the office asking the talk show's employees for sexual favors. And these requests weren't out of the blue, as Kevin was known for his persistence. The BuzzFeed article read, one ex-employee said head writer and executive producer Kevin Lehman asked him if he could give him a handjob or perform oral sex in a bathroom at a company party in 2013. In May 2017, another former employee also said that she saw Lehman grope a production assistant in a car and kiss his neck. Nearly a dozen former employees, who ranged from longtime senior-level employees to production assistants, said it was also common for Lehman to make sexually explicit comments in the office, like pointing out male colleagues' bulges in their crotches or ask them questions like, "Are you a top or bottom?" And when the publication asked the employees how they felt about Kevin's unforgivable behavior, these ex-Ellen workers replied with, "It's masked in sarcasm, but it's not sarcasm. He'd probably do it in front of 10 people and they'd laugh because it's just Kevin being Kevin. But if you're in a position of power at a company, you don't just get to touch me like that." A couple of days later, Kevin Lehman released a statement where he denied these horrifying accusations and unforgivable actions. I started at The Ellen Show as a PA more than 17 years ago, and I've devoted my career to work my way to the position I now hold. While my job as head writer is to come up with jokes, and during that process, we can occasionally push the envelope, I'm horrified that some of my attempts at humor may have caused offense. I have always aimed to treat everyone on the staff with kindness, inclusivity, and respect. In my whole time on the show, to my knowledge, I've never had a single HR or interpersonal complaint made about me, and I am devastated beyond belief that this kind of malicious and misleading article could be published. But even with his official statement, The Ellen Show had no choice but to fire the senior executive. After the word got out that the sexual harasser would no longer be working at the daytime talk show, Warner Brothers Studio released a statement explaining their decision. With their open statement, Warner Brothers Studio also let the public know they would be launching an internal investigation as a way to get to the bottom of the toxic work environment. The Ellen DeGeneres Show is, and has always strived to be, a place that brings positivity to the world. And though not all of the allegations were corroborated, we are disappointed that the primary findings of the investigation indicated some deficiencies related to the show's day-to-day management. We've identified several staffing changes along with appropriate measures to address the issues that have been raised and are taking the first steps to implement them. In the BuzzFeed article, we also got a glimpse of how the daytime talk show hostess reacted and responded to these allegations and sexual harassment cases. According to the former workers, instead of hearing the formal complaints, Ellen decided to turn a blind eye to these allegations. The article read, a former Warner Brothers employee who worked with The Ellen Show said the company turns a blind eye to the alleged misconduct because the series is a cash cow. But that's not all, because many former employees think that it would have been impossible for Ellen not to know about the toxic work environment she created for her team and employees. Everyone acted really different around her. There's a show that's happening behind the show that the executive producers have us all put on for her when she comes to the offices. For someone who's so involved in the show and the creative aspect, and having been in those meetings with her, it's very hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that she doesn't hear the same whispers. She knows. She knows S goes on, but also she doesn't want to hear it. Another employee shared the same sentiment by stating Ellen is responsible for creating a toxic work environment and not paying attention to all the clues that suggest her staff is suffering. If she wants to have her own show and have her name on the show title, she needs to be more involved to see what's going on. I think the executive producers surround her and tell her, things are going great, everybody's happy, and she just believes that. But it's her responsibility to go beyond that. Even though these formal statements have merit on their own, the public was more inclined to listen to Ellen's former employees after several people began exposing the talk show host's true persona and character. Before BuzzFeed released the expose article, Ellen's reputation suffered a massive hit from a Twitter thread that went viral. In March of 2020, actor and comedian Kevin T. Porter encouraged his followers to share their experiences working with the Ellen Show hostess. Right now, we all need a little kindness. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about, she's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to LA Food Bank. And surprisingly enough, many people actually responded to Kevin's tweet. Check out some of these tweets and statements that really expose Ellen DeGeneres' mean spirit and true persona. Working for her, I was instructed that I can't look her in the eye and never say hi to her first. But don't worry, she definitely won't be saying hi to you in the first place. She creates the most toxic environment for her staff. A friend of mine worked as a grip on her show, and if any of the crew made eye contact with her, she would report it and they'd be reprimanded as a group. Was working on a show at WB that was next to her stage was our showrunner's 50th B-Day. Caterer grilling steaks outside for a special fancy lunch. Ellen sent someone over to demand they stop as she doesn't eat meat. She's the worst. I worked at Real Food Daily, served her and Portia at brunch. She wrote a letter to the owner and complained about my chipped nail polish. Not that it was on her plate, but just that it was on my hand. I had worked till closing the night before, and this was next morning. Almost got me fired. With so many allegations floating around the air, Ellen had no other choice but to come back on her daytime talk show and issue a formal apology to the affected staff. On day one of our show, I told everyone in our first meeting that the Ellen DeGeneres show would be a place of happiness. No one would ever raise their voice, and everyone would be treated with respect. Obviously, something changed, and I am disappointed to learn that this has not been the case. I could not have the success I've had without all of your contributions. My name is on the show and everything we do, and I take responsibility for that. Alongside Warner Brothers, we immediately began an internal investigation, and we are taking steps together to correct the issues. As we've grown exponentially, I've not been able to stay on top of everything and relied on others to do their jobs as they knew I'd want them done. Clearly, some didn't. That will now change, and I'm committed to ensuring this does not happen again. But these words of support simply weren't enough for some former Ellen Show employees who faced ridicule and hatred every single day at work. With the infamous BuzzFeed article, former employees exposing Ellen's true side and her low talk show ratings, it's only a matter of time before the Ellen Show introduces a new host or gets canceled altogether. But what do you think? Do you believe Ellen DeGeneres' former employees? Do you think that the Ellen Show hostess is actually mean-spirited in real life? Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and give us a like. And don't forget to turn on your post notifications and share this video with your friends. Goodbye, everyone.